Chillingham Castle, a place of shadows, whispers, and the restless dead. You came here, flashlight in hand, ready to face whatever lurks in its ancient halls. But as you walk deeper into the castle, you realize something was watching you. Chillingham Castle, a place of shadows, whispers, and restless dead. You came here, flashlight in hand, ready to face whatever lurks in its ancient halls. But as you walk deeper into the castle, you realize something was watching you. They say the castle's ghosts are aggressive, that they reach out from the darkness to pull you into their world. Your footsteps echo down the hallway as you make your way towards the chapel, the cold air growing heavier, almost like it's trying to push you back. You open the door, and the chapel comes into view. Dim light flickers in the corners. You heard a sound. Something like breathing. It's faint, but unmistakable, and your heart pounds in your chest. You freeze. There's no one here, but then you feel it. The icy grip of something unseen wrapping around your wrist, dragging you towards the altar. You try to pull away, but you're too late. It's got you. The whispers grow louder, and you know this is the end. You're trapped here now, bound to this cursed place forever. What's up, guys? My name's Stone Rock. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back if you're a regular viewer. Today we're talking about Chillingham Castle. This is probably one of the more haunted castles in England. It's on the border of Scotland in a place called Northumberland. I remember hearing about this from a show in the late 90s, early 2000s called Scariest Places on Earth. That's also where I heard about Poveglia from, which is a video that absolutely blew up. Got like 400 views overnight. It was crazy because nothing on my channel gets 400 views overnight. But you guys are killing it, man. Thank you so much for viewing. I appreciate you guys tremendously for checking all this stuff out. But we're gonna get into it. Chillingham Castle's origins trace back to the 12th century. Originally built as a monastery before it became a military stronghold during the wars between England and Scotland. Situated near the Scottish border, the castle saw its fair share of bloodshed and conflict over the centuries. It was a place where prisoners of war were held, tortured, and killed. The castle's history is soaked in violence, and some say its blood-soaked past that has left it haunted. Perhaps the darkest chapter in Chillingham's long history is its use as a prison during the border wars. The castle's torture chamber is famous, used to exact information from prisoners. The instruments of pain and punishment are still on display today. Racks, Iron Maidens, spiked chairs. Visitors who enter the chamber often report feeling an overwhelming sense of dread, and many claim to hear faint screams of those who suffer there. There's also reports of people feel like they're being led to the torture chamber, like they feel like there's hands like pushing them towards the torture chamber. There's also reports of people feel like they're being pushed towards some of the equipment as well. Chillingham Castle most notorious torturer was John Sage, a former soldier under King Edward I. After being injured in battle, Sage took on the role of executioner at Chillingham, where he tortured and killed over 7,000 prisoners. His brutal methods left an imprint on the castle, and many believe its ghost still roams the torture chamber, seeking vengeance for the life he lost. Sage was executed at the castle himself after strangling a woman to death in a fit of rage. Visitors to the torture chamber often experience extreme cold, a heavy feeling of dread, or even nausea. Some have seen shadowy figures darting through the room or heard the sound of chains rattling as though the souls of the tortured are still trapped within. Over the years, Chillingham Castle has attracted paranormal investigators from around the world. Teams from Most Haunted and Ghost Hunters International have visited the site, documenting unexplained phenomena cold spots, disembodied voices, and strange apparitions are frequently recorded within the castle's walls. Some investigators claim to have captured the ghostly figure of John Sage on camera, while others have claimed to have heard eerie footsteps echoing through the halls. Yeah, footsteps are a common thing when investigating. Like you hear stories all the time from investigators about footsteps being like the main body. And what you got to do when there are footsteps is you got to run to where you hear it and start trying to investigate and debunk it and try to figure out what exactly is making the footsteps. If you don't do that, then you're not investigating properly. The Great Hall is one of the castle's most active paranormal hotspots. Guests have reported seeing full-bodied apparitions of knights in armor walking through the room as if reliving the castle's medieval past. Some have even heard the clattering of swords as battles from long ago are still being fought in the castle's shadowy corridors. One of the most chilling reports comes from visitors who claim to have seen a headless figure wandering the castle's grounds at night. This apparition is said to be the spirit of a Scottish invader who was captured and beheaded by English soldiers. His ghost is often seen near the castle walls, his headless form searching endlessly for peace, and ghosts on the battlements, walking atop the walls. The legends surrounding Chillingham Castle run deep. Some believe that the castle's foundations were built on an ancient burial ground, while others claim that its proximity to ley lines, the mythical alignment of Earth's energy, make it a focal point of supernatural activity. The castle has been subject to countless ghost stories and myths passed down through the generations. One of the most well-known legends speaks of the White Pantry ghost, believed to be the spirit of a woman who was poisoned. She roams the castle's pantry forever, seeking water to quench her endless thirst. Witnesses have reported seeing her ghostly form or feeling an icy hand brush against them as they pass through the pantry. There's also the legend of the Headless Horseman, who rides through the courtyard on moonless nights. His ghostly steed is often seen by visitors, galloping through the mist, before disappearing into thin air. Whether this figure is a guardian of the castle or a remnant of some long-forgotten battle, no one knows for sure. Wouldn't it be wild to see a Headless Horseman? In modern times, Chillingham Castle has been partially restored and is open to the public, offering tours, ghost hunts, and even chance to stay the night. But those who dare to sleep within its walls often leave with more than they bargained for. Several guests have reported waking in the middle of the night to see shadowy figures standing at the foot of their beds, or hearing the faint sound of footsteps outside their doors. Despite its restoration, Chillingham has lost none of its dark energy. Some believe that the renovations have stirred up the castle spirits, awakening the ghosts from their slumber. Paranormal activity seems to have intensified in recent years, with more sightings and encounters being reported than ever before. Yeah, that's a pretty common complaint when people like buy a new house and then they renovate the house and then stuff just kind of starts happening. You hear that all the time if you're an active investigator. Like that'll be like the number one thing people call you for. Or they just move into a new house and there's already activity there. But it's supposed to be, because you're renovating the place, you're changing it from what the spirits knew when they were alive. And if it's an intelligent haunt, it'll interact with the new environment. But if it's repetitive, it'll just like walk through like nothing was happening. Repetitive haunts are like energy stuck in a loop. It's like a ghost that's just in a loop, right? It doesn't know you're there, you know. It has no idea that it's even dead. It's just in a loop. It's cyclical. It just keeps doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Intelligent haunts are the ones that interact with you. They're the ones that are supposed to communicate back. They're the ones that manipulate objects. And then from those two like extremely basic descriptions, you break out into other descriptions of haunts. Like that's when you figure out whether or not it's poltergeist and PK manifestation. They're basically the same thing. PK manifestation can be brought in by somebody with intense negative emotional feelings. And like it's like a manifestation of the negativity. If you've never heard of a PK manifestation, look it up, read about it. It's basically a poltergeist. Like they act the same way. They're not the same thing, but they act the same way. Chillingham Castle is a place where the past refuses to rest, from the tortured souls in the dungeon to the wandering spirits of the long dead knights. Its walls are alive with history and with the dead. Whether you believe it has ghosts or not, the stories surrounding the castle have persisted through the centuries. Perhaps it's not the castle that's haunted, but the land itself. Yeah, there's also a story. They call him the Blue Boy. His body was found bricked up in one of the walls. I want to say it was in the pink room, but they were renovating and found his body bricked up in a wall. And then when they found his body, that's when he started haunting the peak room. He's known for just crying all the time. Like that's what people hear, is crying. That people feel like there's a kid around. They feel like cold little hands touching them. It's pretty wild. I've never had anything like that personally, but I would love to experience something like that, honestly, because like, while I do believe in haunts, I do believe in paranormal, I am bound to look at this stuff through a skeptical eye. I haven't experienced it myself. I have to kind of write it off until I can experience it. Let me know if there's anything that you want me to check out and potentially make a video on. Any kind of like hauntings or cryptids or just haunted places. Yeah, have a nice day. Dust in your eyes like the water, as the tide it consumes me.